panel discussion is on automotive industry expectation from vehicle scrapping policy, ESG and EPR. Following speakers who will be sitting on the panel, Shri Sudhendu Sinha ji is the advisor to NITI Aayog, and his core area is infrastructure, connectivity and electric mobility vertical. Dr. Manish Jaiswal, Director, NATRAX. Manish ji is working with NATRAX from last 20 years and responsible for various automotive R&Ds. Mr. Prashant Banerjee, Executive Director, SIAM. Mr. Uday Narang, Founder and Chairman, Omega Seiki Mobilities. Mr. Rahul Bharti, Executive Director, Corporate Planning, Government Affairs at Maruti Suzuki. Mr. Yashpal Sachar, VP Corporate Affairs, Ashok Leyland. And Mr. Yashodhan Ramteke, Co-Founder, Blockon and Blockchain-ESG expert. So starting from Mr. Sinha, sir, आज RVSF की पॉलिसी आ गई, 40 RVSF लगा दिए गए, लेकिन RVSF के पास मटेरियल नहीं है. इसके पीछे अगर हम देखें तो सबसे बड़ा जो प्रॉब्लम है वो इनफॉर्मल सेक्टर का है. लेकिन साथ साथ में अगर इस RVSF को सक्सेसफुल बनाना है तो हमें ऑटोमोबाइल इंडस्ट्री और जितने भी स्टेक होल्डर्स इससे रिलेटेड हैं उन सब के कोलैबोरेशन और उनके कोऑपरेशन की बहुत ज़्यादा ज़रूरत है. सर, विल नीड योर गाइडेंस कि हाउ टू गो अहेड, हाउ ऑल द ऑटोमोटिव स्टेक होल्डर्स कैन गेट benefited out of RVSF. So please guide us, sir.
Thank you. So, in fact, frankly speaking, I came with the purpose that I should be listening to the auto industry players, trying to find out that what exactly their expectations are, and what are the missing gaps which probably, from the government side we could be giving it a push.
Yeah.
We know it well that this is an absolutely challenging kind of ecosystem that we are trying to set. But this informal sector, I won't call it a problem, you see.
Yeah.
That's something that has been existing there, so we are trying to kind of, I would call it, re-skill them, upgrade them, integrate them into the system that we want to achieve. So taking them as a part of, as a piece of problem would be a wrong approach. So you see, I'm sure that since morning you must have got all the information that how precisely this VVMP and this vehicle scrappage policy this came. So frankly speaking, it owes its origin from the Prime Minister. Prime Minister was of a view that if our infrastructure is developing, if it is so, we always take pride in saying that railways are there and roadways, every day we are making such great good roads. Why it is that the kind of vehicles which are still on the road, that is not the upscale, at least the visible part of it. He was more concerned about the government vehicles. So, the idea was that the ambulances, the kind of ambulances that are on the street, they are in a more rundown condition than the patient that they are driving. And the police vehicles, of course, you have got the typical police vehicles. Of course, don't see it in Delhi. It is an absolutely modernized, but if you go to the Mufassal areas, police vehicles are there. Ambulances are there, fire tenders, for example, number of government vehicles, you see. In fact, if you go to any police station of a tier 2 city, you would find that there is a stack of police vehicles one over another kind of thing. That is a normal sight. You can identify it, that if it is like that, that has to be a police station. They call it impounded vehicle, whatever you call it. So the idea was that they should be given a big push, and of course the private vehicles are the second one. So we started it, and I would say that a lot of roadblocks are there, not that it is not there, but achievement is also something that I would like to share with you. So I've got a piece of information that I just now only collected from the MSTC people, just asking them that how exactly they have performed. So they were telling me that if I just share it with you, so I was told that almost 25,000 vehicles have so far been, processed by them. Processed means they have been, the auction is over. And out of these 25,000 vehicles, if you see the breakup, close to 15,000 are the central government vehicles, and out of that 15,000, 7,000 vehicles are the vehicles of Home Affairs. So basically, police and allied kind of vehicles are there. And then state government's vehicles are close to 9,000 odd vehicles are there that belong to state government. And in that, I am watching that, Gujarat, MP, UP, Maharashtra, Delhi, they are the main shareholders. The idea is very clear, and these are the vehicles for which we are giving them money for the replacement. So, it is not only the certificate of deposit. Certificate of deposit is just a kind of evidence. Over and above that, there is a clear-cut financial allocation for the change of vehicle. And the type of vehicle that have been changed is two-wheelers and four-wheelers are of the same number, close to 6,000. So that is the kind, and the buses are there, trucks. Mainly, the best performance is, of course, other than Home Affairs, defense people have performed very well. Naturally, once, they understand that replacement is coming, it becomes easier. So coming back to the point that how to go about it, I see it as a 4 pieces. First piece, as you mentioned, that the feed has to be there. The second piece is that it is an initiative where high initial cost is required. So, you have to go for a technology, all those things, the processing, because we want to compare ourselves with kind of, say, Belgium. In fact, frankly speaking, it is the Belgian model, it is the Australian model on which the entire vehicle scrapping facility we have developed it. So where there, the percentage of extraction is close to 80 to 90%. In addition to almost all vehicles going back to them. So there are two, double advantage. On our side, number one, the vehicles are not coming to the right place. Number two, the extraction percentage is also close to 60 to 70 max to max. That is what the percentage is. And third piece is that even if you have done all the good work, what is the guarantee that you will be taking it back to the circularity? So the market awareness. All these 3 pieces are there. So I'm sure that there are multiple methods through which we are attempting to solve them. And I'm here to listen to you, listen to all the panelists plus all the great audience, that what exactly we could be doing. See, we are ready to do. We are very much willing to do. Please come out with your with suggestions, and that can be taken forward. Yes.
Now I would like to request Dr. Manish Jaiswal, Director NATRAX. Sir, please guide us on what automotive industry should expect from vehicles scrapping, sir.
All these RVSs.
Yeah, see, I will take the support which NATRAX can extend later stage.
Yeah.
See, our expectation as a test agency is obviously to play a role in basically inspection and certification.
Yeah.
But I will like to add the first question which you asked, Sudhendu ji. My perspective on on this whole formalizing of the scrapping thing through RVSF. So as a country, since we are starting in the initial journey, we need to learn the lessons from the other countries. And I feel we need to break that conundrum that it should not be just looked as a ferrous and non-ferrous extraction problem. Because if you are just limiting yourself to ferrous and non-ferrous, then those roadside guys who are doing it from last so many years will do a better job at a much cheaper rate. So why will the RVSF economy pick up? So unless we try to take it to the next stage, which now the EU is trying to do, in terms of creating policy like certain, which guarantees certain percentage of the non-ferrous materials to go back into the supply chain. For example, they are creating or framing a rule where 25% of the plastics is reused. So
Minimum
when you
recycling content.
have that sort of policy, then you bring in the value addition which these advanced centers can do, because that the informal sectors cannot do. They will just extract the metal or the parts and try to sort of sell it in the other market, or they will try to sell it as a scrap. But once you bring down these things which are reused, and that is a 15 to 20% of overall mass. So that is a significant mass, and if that is brought into the formal thing, then it will add value. The second thing is on the ASR part, the automotive shredder residue, which Japan has taken a lead, and they have developed a regulation which ensures that after it goes to the ASR, it is not just ending in the landfill. And our current policy has no guidelines on that, and even many other countries don't have, whereas Japan extracts the energy as well as material out of ASR. And there is a huge scope for innovation, for reuse of this type of fine dust, fine particles, those foams, those plastic, various types of elastomers which comes out of that. So unless we create that ecosystem, the value addition which these advanced centers will do will be very limited. So that is my take. So unless we need to, I'm not saying it will happen immediately, but at least we need to have a roadmap for that. And once you have the regulation that yes, the automotive companies have to declare what sort of a recycled content goes back into the product. It could be a starting level, let's say I'm saying 2% of my stuff is recycled. So that declaration plus certain regulation which says that yes, certain part of the thing goes back from non-ferrous as well. And the quality of the ferrous and non-ferrous is also very important, because that is something which will ensure that it goes back in the circularity. So these are things which might too. And then coming back to your original question, what NATRAX can do. So we have our own goals of sustainability, and we think that as a test agency, we certainly can play a role in doing little bit of research and innovation in usage of these materials back into the supply chain, as well as setting up maybe a center for inspection and certification, which could be even a third-party center established at our place. Okay, so that is my thought. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. Just to add to this, mostly whatever is being taken from automotive industries, whatever scrap is being generated from there, goes to foundries where again it is remelted and sent to your automotive industries for further use. So, and whatever scrap is generated from any of these RVSFs or this goes to automotive industries only, because it is the best quality of material which is available, and you don't have to do anything. You have to just remelt it and give it back to the system. Going ahead, RVSFs are not getting material. Okay, government is aware about it. Everyone is aware about it, and there has been a discussion on EPR, extended producers responsibilities, that all the OEMs which are working in the country should be the part of this ecosystem, and should ensure that maximum vehicles are travel back to RVSFs. We have Mr. Prashant Banerjee with us, Executive Director, SIAM. Sir, we need your inputs on EPR. What your association, or on behalf of all the OEMs, what do you think? how this EPR will help all the RVSFs in future.
Thank you, Amar. The great Indian democracy and the Indians' right which preponderates and precedes over the responsibility. So this subject of vehicle scrappage falls in a concurrent list of constitution where the transport being in state subject, whatever mandate which central government tries to bring in has its own set of challenges. Now let's see, when we started 2014 onwards, in real sense, this recycling business related discussion, there were 7 policy documents emanating from 7 different ministries. In NITI Aayog itself, we had Mr. Vatal, followed by we had Dr. Saraswat, then we had of course Sudhir and here Samadarji sitting here, and then of course Sudhendu is here, who is leading this new initiative. So circular economy, Dr. NRI. So basically there were, in NITI itself, the material recycling was looked up differently. Then there was the steel ministry, followed by Ministry of Road Transport, then the plastic and used oil, MOPNG, etc. So many. So having seen that situation where everything was trying to crystal down, and then now with this 6 EPR coming in, so real change, as Bharti also mentioned, 2021 when this VVMP come up, that actually set the ball rolling in real sense, who is responsible for what.
Yeah.
And then now we have seen the 6 EPRs notification rolled out by the Minister of Environment and Forest. That has given a very clear direction where we are heading to. And that's where, again I am coming back, that who is responsible for what. So as Sudhendu very rightly said, that initially the Mayapuri stakeholders, they were convinced that it is not against them. The role of the material collector and role of the a recycler has to have an integration with the mainstream players, so OEMs. So when we have these very clear mandates by MOEF, targets we are right now discussing with them, what percentage, 20% or 30%, 10%, it's a matter of a larger debate and discussion. But it's very interesting to see that now everybody has understood that we cannot achieve our sustainable one earth, one family, one future concept, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, and of course the climate commitments in international forum, without involving MRAI members, scrap collectors, every last on the ground player who is in our social fabric of circularity. So this is a very good thing has happened. This is something like, again I am saying, that when we started in 2000, the Delhi pollution, Mashelkar committee auto fuel policy came up. There were 32 recommendations very clearly spelled out in the auto fuel policy 2000. In that, one of the policy 32 recommendation was vehicle scrappage and fleet modernization. It has taken 23 years and we are still struggling. Every auto fuel policy had this fleet modernization, scrappage, cash to clunker should be given, not given. So everybody is looking that somebody else will do the initiative. But now at least, like in emission norms, everybody said it's a vehicle which is the culprit for the Delhi pollution. Now I am happy to tell that today, having BS6, nobody is saying vehicle is the culprit for the Delhi pollution. So same way, a day will come when we will see that it's not the extended producer responsibility of OEM, which is solely responsible for taking this initiative forward. And it's not a discount of perhaps the OEM which is going to make the material difference. It is the ownership of collective ownership. It's called, instead of extended producer responsibility onto OEM, it should be shared responsibility of the entire ecosystem. And that's where I believe that now gradually this misunderstanding of extended producer responsibility of polluter pays principle, which we often talk about, that who is making the vehicle has to actually bear it. But remember that vehicle is not made by OEM, it is made by the entire ecosystem players. So therefore it's very important, in my view, that all of us collectively must recognize that circularity has been and had been in our ethos for centuries. We just need to articulate it, practice it, implement it, and make it happen in right earnest. That's where I believe that time has come, all intents are good, and everybody is aligned that the future is bright for us, and 2025, the goal of making a developed India with a Life for Environment initiative of Honorable Prime Minister, with very clear target and simple targets of EPR, or maybe 2030 Glasgow, or COP28, or Panch Prana. All of them will lead to this. So that's what I believe, very hopeful that it will happen very soon.
We all have been discussing about it since last 2-3 years, but the real challenge is what is being faced by all the RVSFs is like they are running in huge losses. They don't get material on time. Somehow we all have to collectively come together and find best solutions for this. And I understand SIAM is one of the main player in this field, that how the automotive industry and how other stakeholders can make this RVSF policy successful. Going ahead, I would request Mr. Uday Narang, founder and chairman of Omega Seiki Mobility. Sir, I came to know that you are the pioneer of EV industry. This EV industry right now is, I'll say, at a nascent stage, but very soon it will be growing very fast and entire economy will be captured by EVs. What is your expectation from RVSFs, ESG and EPRs? This we need to understand.
Look, I think, first of all, I just got back from Switzerland last week. It feels like it's Switzerland here. There's an AC blowing in here. It's definitely getting us feel like I'm not missing Europe right now in here. So thank you for making that effect in here for all of us. But let me be clear. I think that, at Sudhendu ji, I know you'll, we've been in this journey for quite some time. It's really exciting to see, I'm not a pioneer, I've been in this game for just a long time, but Ashok, Leyland, even our good friends at Maruti, Bharti has finally said we're coming into EV. I like that. We've got everybody in this game now. But I just don't think it's just EV. I think it's green energy and sustainability. Whether it is, I saw when I came, Govt ji has a hydrogen car. Yeah. I think, so I think green energy and sustainability is extremely important to our nation. I think that blaming each other, what happens in Delhi every year, we just blame Punjab blames Haryana blames, everybody's blaming each other. But actually we've got to do something. And I think I'll tell you one thing, recycling is, whether it is with battery, whether it's with vehicles, I think it's the biggest business of the future. I think it's even bigger than, I think we've all got to make sure that we all get together and build a country. We have sir, you've heard me before. I think the opportunity of a lifetime is available in this nation right now. I think it's one of the most, from where I see, I was a hedge fund manager for 30 years. It's a super chance. See, I think, we've got, and I cannot always say, what can the government, we'll always say, government ye nahi kar rahi, government wo nahi kar rahi. NITI Aayog's doing a super job. In a country like ours, if you see what is happening, I think we've all got to combine forces, whether it is, the large players, whether it is new startups, whether it is, players that are all across this field have to combine forces. And I think that, at least for me, battery recycling, there's going to be a huge issue coming up. We've got 4 years now, 4 years of where EVs are now, been playing, and I don't want them dumped some backyard. We've got to have recycling there. We've got, we've had EV policies. I spent a lot of time in the United States. Even in, I'll tell you, Thailand, they had a recycling policy of vehicles. And people, I think you've got to be able to be consistent. And Sudhendu ji, this is something that I'm continuously saying. We cannot make policies and dilly-dally. I'm sorry, it's happening here too. We make a policy, somebody violates, then we stop, then we go. Businessmen and investors don't like a continuous change in policy. In the US, Uncle Joe Biden's handing out, money left, right, center, and it's not going to happen in India, right? I just want to have a policy which says we're going to do this and we're going to stay consistent. We're not going to change. If somebody just blows a red light, doesn't mean we're all bad. I think for this policy, recycling policy, for all of this to happen, two things needs to happen. We all got to work together, okay? This is our country. This is our nation, right? We owe it to the future of this, we're a bit older. I want to see all the young guys and girls sit in the back, especially the women of this country, I want to see. But what I'm saying is that we've got to work together, and I think this is the need of the hour. And we can't expect the government to do everything. We all got to combine forces together. Thank you very much.
See, the main intention of bringing the RVSF policy was to bring all the material back formally in the business. Recycling was happening prior also. All the vehicles were dismantled, but not in a responsible way. RVSFs are being promoted to do this recycling in a more responsible and appropriate way. But somehow now we feel from government's mandate that we have come up with this policy, RVSF policy, but you don't touch the informal sector. This is impacting us. This is impacting all the RVSFs. I am not into this business. I am the Secretary General of MRAI. I can say it very loudly, but that all the RVSFs which are into this business are facing real challenges. 85 of them have registered, 40 of them are only into the business, and rest 40s are like sitting and watching when we will get the clear mandate and when we will start this business. My question, next speaker, Mr. Rahul Bharti ji, Executive Director, Corporate Planning, Government Affairs, Maruti Suzuki. Sir, what is your say on EPR first? And second, Maruti has also come into RVSFs, and what kind of challenges Maruti is facing in its RVSF divisions? We would like to understand this from you, sir. Thank you.
First of all, we are extremely honored to have Shri Sudhendu Sinha ji with us. I think if tomorrow India reaches some great electrification milestones, there is one personality that India will think back. This is from NITI Aayog, Mr. Sudhendu Sinha. And trust me, the whole electrification journey which he is driving in India is a far bigger challenge than scaling up recycling in the country. So it's a far smaller problem, honestly. It is a challenge. We have RVSFs. We have invested in them. They are highly underutilized, but we are not too scared about it. We plan to do more investments because we have some confidence that this is the future. It will happen. It needs some interventions. Now, Mr. Sinha very humbly, with a lot of modesty said, I have come to listen. So, as an entrepreneur who struggles on the blueprint of how can I make it scalable, there are very specific interventions. Until now, most of the discourse has been on concepts. I would come to very specifics. I think the fundamental of, there are three major pillars. One is RVSF to be done in a modern way, and the way that with innovation like Dr. Manish Jaiswal mentioned. So we have RVSFs which address nuclear, oil, gas, all kinds of liquids, battery fluid, everything, lithium ion, catalytic converter, everything we recycle, and we do it in a scientific manner. And I also believe that the Mayapuri or the unorganized sector is not a challenge. There will be a time, I can tell you, there will be a time then when they'll come to auto companies and say, sir, your business is making cars. We will do it in the most modern manner. You need not worry about it. Leave this to us. That will be the time they'll ask for it, and they'll get incentivized to get modern and scientific. The issue is when we make a car or a vehicle in the factory, we make it full, all quality standards, technology, etc., full spec. But when it goes into the market, for in-use vehicle, there is no regulation as of now. The first whether the brakes are in order, whether the emission is in order, whether the headlights are in order, nobody has a way of checking and assuring the roadworthiness of the vehicle. So first of all, this has to be addressed. If we have a health-based scrapping system, where after regular intervals, we have an INC regime, Dr. Manish Jaiswal touched upon it. The fundamental foundation for RVSF is an INC regime, inspection and certification. So we need to test the cars at regular intervals to see whether it is roadworthy or not, and there are sufficient CMVR tests to address whether they are, what are the recommended health-based checks. Suppose a vehicle is tested and found to be unfit. I believe the owner of the car should get abundant opportunity to rectify the car and retest it. Twice, thrice, sufficient opportunity he should get, because it's an asset which he has bought with his hard-earned money. Now suppose it is roadworthy, well and good. If not, then it should be compulsorily scrapped and recycled, and he should need a CD and deregistered from Vahan. That element, as of now, a small beginning has been made of, but that beginning is we have to test it in once in 15 years. 15 years is too long a period. So we have to do it something like 4-3-2-2 or 5-2-1-1 or something like that. For taxis, etc., the norm exists, but for a large number of private vehicles, it does not exist. So this system has to be done. Now, why is the INC regime not taking off? So in our quality, we asked 5 whys. Why is it not happening? Why is it not happening? So the next intervention that we realized is that there are some very difficult conditions the government has put on setting up of ATS, automatic testing stations. Yeah. They are so difficult that they are almost impossible to achieve. And the ones who have put up ATS, I'm sure they'll be struggling to have economic viability on it. So if the government has a bit of trust on the private sector, and like many other countries, almost 10 big countries, US, many in Europe, Japan, if they allow OEMs to operate through their dealers to have INC centers, the issue of land availability, the issue of scalability, the issue of expertise, none of them will be there. Overnight, we can create capacity for testing as per what the government norms are. Now I'll discuss another topic which is slightly done in hush-hush, but I'll talk about it openly. There is a concept of conflict of interest. Conflict of interest means, suppose the dealer does something unethical. Either he certifies a bad car as good or a good car as bad. So therefore, there's a lot of fear in the government. What if this happens? My submission is, you can simply, dispel your fears, put the responsibility on the OEMs. We are happy to take that responsibility and ensure that the dealer does not play hanky-panky. He is honest. I would also like to say that the dealer, the market is also a regulator. The market also, for example, if electrification is delayed, or if some technology somebody is not bringing, the market will force. So the market is also a regulator. If the dealer loses reputation once, he will lose his own customers also for all times to come. And as a second check, we are also there to ensure that such dealers get heavy penalties or are kicked out if they play hanky-panky. So the moment we do that, then the dealer will be able to certify, and the cost is very low, something like 650 rupees or something per inspection. And the infrastructure, the expertise, the operation standards, they are all on track. So if we use that infrastructure for inspection and certification, the cars can be certified good or bad. Bad, test them again, give the owner an opportunity. If still after 2 or 3 sufficient trials, not, give it to the RVSF, and the RVSF will expand. You also asked about a question on EPR. See, the first thing we have to realize is, once we have sold the car to a customer, he's the legal owner of the car. He has absolute right what he does with his car, of course, within the laws of the land. So, putting a responsibility on OEMs is slightly, there's a legal disconnect in that. We will be happy to put up and scale up RVSFs, and we know that since they are viable in other countries, they can be made viable in India also. And we will make them viable. We have an expansion plan despite the underutilization, by the way. So, sorry, I missed the flow. So these RVSFs can make themselves viable on this flow. Honestly, this is one area where neither the government nor the private sector needs to have any kind of subsidy or financial burden on it. And of course, there's a shared responsibility. We'll be happy to put up more RVSFs. The fundamentals have to be right. The INC regime has to be put in place. For that, they have to allow existing infrastructure with some checks and balances to operate an INC centers, and the system will flow on its own. As far as there is another element of EPR. Once we have put all the content, and Dr. Jaiswal, we have fluids, we have oils, we have gas, we have CNG, we have the lithium. All the elements, when they are brought to their, back to their original, they mix with their original form, it does not matter whether that ferrous after smelter is used in construction industry or in auto industry or whichever industry. It is generic for all sectors that can avail of that material, raw material. Putting a number that the new car manufactured should have minimum some recycled content can be extremely risky, because the quality requirements and the new technology requirements, particularly with electrification and the CO2, the energy efficiency norms, the bar is getting very high for new technology that goes and the new materials that go into the car. So to our understanding, for example, the amount of recycling in a new car cannot be more than 10%. Putting an astronomical number or an unrealistic number there will not help, make up for something that is missing in the ecosystem. And the missing element is INC. That is our submission, and I'll be happy to answer any things in the proposed ecosystem that anybody can have any doubt upon. Thank you.
Thank you so much for such a elaborate views on various things. I will take up one point. I was attending a conference of BIR, Bureau of International Recycling, and I was talking to the Secretary General of EURIC, European Union Recycling Federation. I was talking to him whether a OEM can be a RVSF, because in India this is happening. In his view, in European situations, this is not the thing. A OEM cannot be an RVSF. There are high chances of conflict of interest. But in our country, this is happening, and how government is going to take this ahead, let us leave it on them. My next question is to Mr. Yashpal Sachar, VP Corporate Affairs. Sir, what is your expectation from vehicle scrapping policy, ESG and EPR? Please elaborate, sir.
Hello. Firstly, I can see kind of worry you have in terms of vehicles, adequate vehicles are not coming.
Yeah.
So I have a good news for you. Yeah. We about 2 months before celebrated our 75th year of anniversary. Wow. We have a huge unit in operations, and I'm happy to know that today that you are providing a single platform wherein we can interact with almost all 40 RVSF available. Otherwise, with the task force we were meeting last month, it was going to Patna, some 6 of them. So thank you, first of all, for that. And second, thanks, rather I would like to share with some of the RVSF available here. There are 3 things. Firstly, we are keen. Secondly, we can even invest. If some of you, we can put some equity also. We are not going on our own to begin with. And we have a lot of strength. We can also help you in upgrading your infrastructure. So maybe this will reduce your worry to a bit. Okay. So now coming to business, I was thinking, while the discussion was there, and we also discussed internally, I see the mathematics like this. There are about 2.2 crore vehicles, and there are 40 odd as of now available running RVSFs. So if I say 4 Ps, so product is available. Many of those centers are world class. One, set up by MNCs, they are world class. But in terms of promotion, there's hardly anything. There's hardly anything. If I say there must be, I guess, something like 2,000 housing societies in Delhi alone, I have never seen a single RVSF contacting any of the housing apartments that you, how many vehicles you have, not even a single letter, because I happen to be a leader in that kind of MC or other things. So if you have, being a leader, of course, as of now, you are victim, you're not getting enough numbers, but there are efforts also likewise. We as a nation produce close to 80 to 90 lakhs graduates a year. Yeah. Each year there are also, they're in first year, second year. If I just want to hire 20 to 50,000 volunteers, they can be paid some fixed and some variable salaries. You can have 20,000 volunteers prepared for decades. Yeah. They can talk about good things of this. This is not only numbers, this is not a business, but it also has a lot of social activities attached. Those kind of things are not getting spread. We as SIAM can help you also from our side. Yeah. It is not only SIAM, ACMA, FADA, such all things can now support you in taking it further. Besides, I would also like to make one request. We as an organization, we feel that by 2030, we want to become 100% renewable energy, RE kind of working in our plants. By 2048, net zero. There are ESG also now being discussed in various forums. So circularity and these actions can also be linked to ESG, so that it can go a longer way in securing by different organizations those kind of things, and we will work. In terms of EPR, those kind of numbers, we all wish that our nation becomes a like a developed nation by 2047. We all want to put our efforts. And again, repeating that you have today 50, but if there are other aspirants, please connect us all in one go.
Sure.
We can have a tie-up and it can save time.
Sure.
Thank you once again.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Jaiswal Sachar. You have really touched upon the main thing, which is the awareness. In one of our conferences, MSTC chairman was there. He told our president, Mr. Sanjay Mehta, संजय जी ये बताइए कि सेंटर्स तो खुल गए, सब कुछ कर दिया गया, सारी पॉलिसीज़ इन प्लेस हैं, माल नहीं आ रहा है, क्या किया जाए? तो संजय भाई ने उनको एक ही जवाब दिया कि सर आपके पास इतना बड़ा इकोसिस्टम है, गवर्नमेंट आपके साथ है, यू हैव फंड्स ऑल्सो, वाई डोंट यू प्रमोट RVSFs through social medias? So my small request to all the RVSFs present here, please make your social media handles, be it on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, post as much as you can about this RVSF policies and benefits, what people, a common person can get. This will really help, local media as well. This will really help, not very soon, but yes, in years to come.
I never wanted to talk about it, but okay. I myself has taken lead in arranging some of the cars getting scrapped at RVSFs.
Wow, that's great.
It's easy to say, but you know, when you will call them, they will give you some 8-10 list of things you should have. If you go to Mayapuri, who are your current kind of also competitors, they are available, they will help you in executing. But while if you will call RVSF, they will give you a kind of, I will not say a kind of bureaucratic thing, this kind of thing, 8 things you require. If you have 7, no, I cannot come and pick. Your car is working, they will ask you things like how to say no, I cannot pick. So that also approach has to change.
Sure.
That way is a kind of small feedback for you.
Thank you so much. I think all the RVSFs present here would have taken note of this and will really put their comments. Going ahead, I would request Mr. Yashodhan Ramteke ji, co-founder of Blockon and Blockchain. He is an ESG expert. Maybe take your views on the topic.
Hi. So now we understand that when RVSFs are doing this activity, they are definitely helping sustainability and are achieving ESG goals. One of the challenges was, can we actually measure this ESG goals, or what is the kind of data which they are collecting, what is the kind of impact, the actually ESG impact which they have on the current environment. So MMCM actually took this challenge, and as was mentioned by Nitin some time back, so there are around 40 data points which are generated when a vehicle comes to RVSF. And these data points help us actually to understand the ESG and the impact when a car is actually scrapped. So once a vehicle comes to a facility, we, MMCM along with IIT Bombay, has come up with the algorithm which is again based on UN CDM, where for a 1 ton of car, nearly 0.6 tons of carbon credit is generated. Now these data points are there, and we took help of Hedera. Hedera is a global blockchain. So all these data points are put on Hedera, and once all these data points are there, they are validated. The validation is done by something called as DMRV, that is Digital Measurement, Reporting and Verification. All these data points are completely trustworthy, transparent and traceable. So all data points can be traced back to the vehicle which goes there, and the MRV is done by the government validation like CDs and all. And based on this, we have created a new asset class called as ELV credits. So each vehicle has that ELV credit, and each ELV credit is backed by the carbon saving on that for that ELV credit. That carbon saving, and it is tokenized and available for any organizations which want to have net zero impact. And as PK Banerjee sir was saying that when you want, most of the companies are looking at net zero goals, and they want to have data which they can trust, which is traceable and which has complete transparency. So now MMCM as a platform is giving that kind of traceability, transparency to each ELV credit which is generated and which has a impact of carbon emission reductions directly. So RVSFs also can will be helped to bridge their viability gap by taking help of these credits which can be sold on the market. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I have a question. Is this the first kind of blockchain technology you are using, or this is being used in another part, in some part of the world?
For this is our good luck that this is the first time this technology is being used in India, because we have CDs where all the ELVs can be traced back to the origin, and the CDs, there are a lot of validations which already goes when the CD is generated. So if we know the carbon market, the ESG market, most of the carbon credits which are generated are future generated. So this is the first asset which is being generated in a real time. So once the car comes to the facility for scrapping, and it is scrapped and the CD is generated, at the same time we are minting the token, which is the carbon credit. So
that token will be
in the world where we are doing that.
That token will be tradable?
That token is tradable, and it is there on Hedera blockchain.
Hedera?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much. Now we open the forum for the audiences. If you have any questions, yeah, please go ahead. Please introduce yourself and.
Hi sir, good afternoon. Okay, I'll just say 2-3 points. There are a list of 14 points. I've already submitted to Transport Ministry, Ahmed sir, Gadkari Saab and Piyush sir, everyone. But quickly I'll just tell you, you're talking about testing, okay? So the testing should obviously be like how Bharti sir said, that should be 2 years, 5 years, 3 years. But there has to be a age defined. In India, if you don't define an age, this policy will not pick up. Whether it's 25 years, whether it's 30 years, you decide, you will be the right judge. But there has to be an age defined. And for the fitness test, you should make it compulsory, and you should make sure, you should put a application where, I think this is my idea, is the insurance of the vehicle or the third party insurance is not valid unless the certificate is valid. So what will happen if the certificate fails or goes, it's just lapse every year? If he hits the car, there's no insurance, because the third party insurance is a insurance which has been given for a healthy vehicle, not for an unfit vehicle. So it should be lapsed. That should be your, I think, how you should take it forward. I think it's a good idea. Otherwise, I'll share you the list of 14 points, 15 points I have. I'll exchange your email ID and I'll do that, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Anirudh.
Just one point, Amarji, here.
Yeah.
Because I think the next agenda is on RVSF facilities. So this question is what I would like to share. I am part of electronic waste management in per se, but these policy times are very well connected. So my question is, in the policy of ELV, in the e-waste we have a problem that a consumer, जो हम लोग RVSL बोल रहे हैं आपको material नहीं है because consumer is not aware, right? So what is the definition in this policy for a consumer, which was lacking in e-waste and other examples also? So I would like to know that, if at all outside the meeting you can share. The second point is, sir, we are talking about scrapping of vehicles. But why not brands are coming up? None of the brands have come up with saying that circularity in their vehicles. What are you looking for? Are you looking at 20% in your brand, both in steel, in plastic? What sort of products? I am trying to innovate and talk to the brands. You help me, because you have the R&D of this material, which is safety critical, which is not safety critical. Help the startups so that we can join hands and innovate the products. And that's how we can move into circularity. But automotive sector, I have heard recently Volvo saying, I am making my leather, instead of leather seats, I am making from Govt. So this is the innovation we are talking about, the high-end 1 crore of cars. But what are the basic cars what we are making? What are we doing circularity in that? And the third point is, sir, this is like a complaint to the brands. You have said you have a lot of service stations. I work with General Waste Management. You please go and ask your service stations what are they doing with their used oil waste. The bike guys, the car guys, they are branded, right? You ask them, I can tell you, I think you have got the answer what they are doing with that. So none of this, hazardous waste, which is presently hazardous waste, we are not able to manage. That's my submission. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I think we all have to become responsible. It is not only the OEMs. Yeah.
I have got a point to say. No, it sounds good.
Yeah.
See, the point is that if we could just have a compilation of these points.
Yeah.
Okay. So probably if this forum can work for that. I don't promise that I am going to solve all of them. No. Some of them are so fundamental that will call for, completely overhauling the Constitution of India. So we won't go for that. But yes, some of them do seem to be doable. So if we could have a list of,
Sure.
and maybe that we set up a small kind of cell or kind of a team that works over it on a continuous basis, goes to the insurance people and tries to find out that how exactly it can be sorted out. Some of them are definitely can solve.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
So we are from RNG. We work on the policy front across the globe. We operate among 18 EPR schemes throughout the world, be it European Union or be it American states and first world or second world. So the questions and the points which I have noted is like, in India, we primarily any sort of waste is being managed by informal sector, right, predominantly. 90% of the waste of the country is being managed by informal sector, managed and handled, right? When we say we would exclude that huge mass of the waste managers, how the policy would actually look, right? If we would not include them, then there are chances of pilferage of the components of the electronic, any vehicle, right? We have catalytic converter, which holds a huge value and which can go into the gray market. Then similarly, the next point is recycled content, which Sir just touched upon. According to the report by European Union on the automobile front, there is a possibility to have 28 to 30% recycled content, not on the high performance components of a electronic vehicle, but the secondary components, which likely starts from the small parts which do not hinder the performance. So this can be looked upon. The targets to have a recycled content can be discussed by the OEMs along with the authorities. That's where the actual component would come in. Next is EPR target. I believe no one was talking about EPR targets. EPR is not about using a recycled content. EPR is about whatever product you are putting into the market, you have a responsibility to recycle, right? Being a responsible brand owner. And I heard one argument which was coming up, why OEMs and brand owners should be liable to do this EPR target. And it should be a shared responsibility. Yes, it is a shared responsibility. The EPR principally says polluter pays. By saying this polluter pays, what exactly they mean is, at the end of the product, consumer has paid a certain notional value of a product to the OEMs. And it becomes the responsibility of the OEM to ensure that they collect it. Because they have the right infrastructure, they have taken up a commercial value out of it. And then the second point was circularity. At present, right now, by 2023, according to the World Economic Forum, we are utilizing Earth's resources by 600 times. That means Earth cannot regenerate the resources what we are using, right? That's where the circularity has to come in. And when we say having a circularity and using a recycled content into it, it should come back into the mainstream economy of the same composite material. Having the offset of recycled content into different fields might be a good alternative, but it will not solve the problem because the alternate sector has also generated a waste. So this point of circularity has to be looked upon, and from the investors' perspective or the companies who are into infrastructure space and the policy makers.
I think all your points are well taken.
The last point, we should have a robust policy. We should not have a ever-changing policy. It affects the OEMs, it affects the RSVPs who are into it because they need to shift their business operations accordingly. So we should have a framework which is robust, which is consistent, and then only the transition risk of any business can be solved. Well, I had a couple of more, maybe we can take it later.
Thank you. Thank you. I would like to thank all the panelists for their time. As few of my members said, with the help of SIAM, MRAI, MRAI is coming up with a national forum or a national body, basically looking after all the challenges being faced by RVSFs. So collectively we can represent at various central and state level government and put our issues and suggestions forward so that all the challenges being faced by RVSFs are taken well and our business get flourished. Sir, very soon from our MRAI team, we will submit all the submissions. Yeah, thank you.
I just want to say one thing. And Sudhendu ji, maybe you'll agree with me. I have never seen an audience this passionate and this smart, this intelligent. Honestly, I'm impressed. I really am. And you guys have put in a really, the questions and how people care. I know we run out of time. We really need to thank this audience. It's absolutely amazing in my book. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you.